Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss any update. From Gradeup.
Hi friends, I am Mallesham Devasane. Welcome to Gradeup. In this video I am going to present how to use a gate virtual calculator. And in this video we will be seeing all the functions, how to perform, how to calculate, and also very important tips which will tell you when to use the virtual calculator, and also what are the functions that you cannot perform using the virtual calculator. As I have observed from the last 2 years that many students were able to, they were saying, sir, I was not able to use a virtual calculator in the GATE exam. So I planned, we were thinking that better to make a video to understand how to use virtual calculator. So I hope this video will be really helpful to use the virtual calculator in the GATE. Then let's begin when to use this virtual calculator. So as I know that for the many branches, even you have the virtual calculator but really not used by many rankers in the GATE exam, because when you use the virtual calculator it may waste your time to perform the calculations using the calculator. So you have to press the key and you have to wait for the result. Of course it will not take much time, but you have to understand that what to press and what to what do you want. So understand, all the simple arithmetic calculations and easy calculations really do not require the virtual calculator, but this can be done using virtual calculator. So let's say 2 plus 3 is 5. That do you really require to calculate using the virtual calculator? Because 2 plus 3 your mind can calculate and pen and paper is enough to answer it. So similarly, all the simple calculation like 20 into 100 or summation of two numbers or division of two numbers, you don't require a calculator. So when you press these numbers on the calculator, you may take at least 10 to 15 seconds, but when you use your mind you can calculate within 2 or 3 seconds. So try to understand, if the expression is very simple and even it is lengthy, you can do it better using your mind. So all the simple and easy calculations not to use this virtual calculator, but when you have all difficult or lengthy calculations and those calculations or those functions are available on this virtual calculator, you can use like logarithm, trigonometric, factorials, hyperbolic or inverse functions. And then there are so many, right, inverse trigonometry I am talking. There are so many other functions which are possible to calculate using virtual calculator. So let's begin what we can understand using this virtual calculator. Now tips to use a virtual calculator: always use a pen and paper first. Then if you cannot calculate in short period of time, better use the virtual calculator because that can give you faster. Then use virtual calculator for all time taking calculations, because calculator will give you a faster result. Practice virtual calculator before GATE exam so that you will understand then when to use this virtual calculator, when not to use. So all the mock tests will tell you how to use this virtual calculator. So when you practice the mock test, understand which question really you need virtual calculator, and then try to minimize the use of virtual calculator so that your answers will come quick using your mind. So now I'm going to tell you that what are the functions are available in the virtual calculator. So all the arithmetic operations that I have discussed here, plus, minus, division, multiplication, and of course this operator, that modulo and a percentile, both are different. So anyhow, in mathematics we have here two operators, percentile and mod. So then another is trigonometric log functions, and then root, modulus and mod, powers and exponents, factorial, degrees and radians, and all this 4 types of or 5 types of memory related keys, and special constants that you have e and pi. This kind of operations or functions are available on the virtual calculator. Then we will see which calculations you don't need virtual calculator, because those are not available on the virtual calculator. So we can see that complex numbers, matrix operations, solving equations, number system conversions like binary to decimal or decimal to octal, whatever, and differentiation and integration, and vectors and polar calculations, permutation and combinations, and so on. and this all kind of calculations which are not given in the virtual calculator, and many of them are already available on scientific physical calculator. So we have the habit of using physical calculator, so even you have used these calculations on physical calculator, but these are not available on the virtual calculator. So try to practice without having a calculator, without having a physical calculator in the while practicing mock tests. So matrix and solving equations are very popular in the GATE exam, so try to understand them, how to calculate them without having actual functions about this matrix and equations. Then where is the virtual calculator available on the interface? You can see that top right corner, just before the picture, before the pic, you have a virtual calculator that's shown in the circle, and this virtual calculator is shown for every question, and any question, if you require really a virtual calculator, please click on this and calculate, and then you can use it for answering the question. So now how this virtual calculator looks like. When you press the virtual calculator button, then definitely it shows first two boxes. The first box will show you that the expression that you have typed. The second box is important. When you press equal key, then second box will show the result of the first expression box. Then let's see, one example, the 2 plus 3 minus 6 by 3. So you have proper way to use this parenthesis. So when you have the lengthy expression, better to use this parenthesis to avoid the confusions between the operators. Then the first box will show the expression that you have typed. When I press the equal, the second box will show the answer of the first expression. Then we have so many types of keys. Then I'm going to talk about the keys one by one. So parenthesis I'm going to say shown in the marking, open and right parenthesis. Then we have the numbers, and then we have arithmetic operators. So I'm going to discuss about how to operate arithmetic operators in quick. Then I'm going to perform some of the arithmetic operations. You can see that always press the C in the beginning. Then I want to perform the addition. So 1 plus 5, which will give you equal, you press, you can say 6. Now press C to perform another expression. Then I am going to perform minus now. 1 minus 2, which should give minus 1. When I press equal, you can see minus 1. Then I am going to multiply. 1 into 2 will be 2. Then similarly you can apply for the division. So I am going to apply 4 divided with 2, which will be definitely 2. So this way you can perform arithmetic operations. Now I am going to show unary, plus and minus, factorial, decimal point, and how to see the result. Now all of them you have marked here. There are 4 types of keys here. Now let's see the first one, that how to perform unary operation. Then if you want to perform unary operation, you must press a plus or minus after entering a number. So if you want to enter a number, right, so you can enter a number. I am pressing 2. Now you want to make it negative, just press plus or minus button, so you can see that minus. If you press again, you will see the positive. So minus 2 can be entered using plus or minus. So then minus 2 into 6 I want to perform. So how did I perform? 2, then plus or minus, then multiply, then 6, it will give you minus 12. Then you can do 6 into, then I am using parenthesis to perform. So parenthesis a minus 5, then close it, then 6 into minus 5 will be minus 30. So this way you can use plus or minus operator along with the numbers. Now we will see how to perform the factorial. So 4 and n factorial will give you 4 factorial. So first press a number and then press n factorial, which will give you factorial of the number. So you can calculate any number that you want it using n factorial. Then we use the decimal point. See 1.25, I am just pressed it, and then 1.25 plus I am going to perform with 3. 1.25 plus 3 will be 4.25. That similarly you can use a number which you want to display, 45. Then press equal, you will see the 45. So equal is always important after pressing all the keys that you want to perform. So 5 into 6 is 30. So that you can see with the equal to. Then I am going to show these powers later on. So now I will move to the constants. Now when I come to the constants, see pi and e only constants are available on the virtual calculator. If any other constants which are represented by in some calculations, then you can see in the instructions which are provided in the interface. So on the virtual calculator you have only two important constants which are used in many calculations. Of course, let's see how to calculate using these constants. So pi represent 3.141, you can see that value, and if you want to see e represent 2.718 and so on. So now if you want to use these constants along with expressions or operations, see 5 into, I am going to perform some calculations. Let's see 5 into 2, so 3.14 into 2, so which will give you 6.283 and so on. So now e multiply with 2.71 into 2, so which will give you 5.4. So you can use these constants for any kind of calculations during your requirement. Then I am going to see that logarithmic functions. You have 4 types of logarithmic functions here, and one is natural logarithm, and another one is log base 10. The LOG represent log base 10, and another one is log x base 2. The fourth one is log x base 5. There are 4 types. The natural logarithm is having base e. So L and represent natural logarithm which has the base e. Then we will see how to calculate this 4. Now you can see that 7 I applied with log x base 2. So log 7 base 2 will be calculated 2.807. Then I am going to see that next log 7 base e, that means ln 7, which will give you 1.94. Similarly log 7 base 10, so log 7 base 10, which will give you 0.845. And the last one log x base 5. So 7 represent x, then press log x 5, then base 3 is last, so which will give you 1.77. So now this is the way we calculate for the logarithms. Then powers and exponents. Now how to perform these powers and exponents? So we have e power x, 10 power x, x power 5, and then x power 3, x to the power of 2, and exp. So I am going to discuss all of them in one by one. So let's see all these powers how to calculate using the virtual calculator. Now we have 2 types. One is the x square, x cube. So now x square you can calculate using, first enter the number, that is I have entered here 2, then I calculate x square. So 2 square will be calculated. So 2 and then press the key because only one input expected. 3 and press x square, you got 9. 4 x square, you got 16. Similarly you go for cube. Now after calculating x square, so I am going to use any number to calculate x power 3 now. Now let's calculate 1. Let me enter first, then 1.2 x square, if I calculate 1.44, I got it. Then let's go to the now cube. Then 2 cube is 8, so 2 and press x cube. Then similarly 3 and press x cube. Then similarly you press any other number, right? Now x to the power of 5, you need 2 inputs to enter. So first enter x, then press the key, then press 5. So first I am going to press 2, then press x power 5, then 3. So 2 power 3 will be calculated. Similarly, then 3, press x power 5, then 2. So 3 power 2 will be calculated as 9. So that is x to the power of 5. So press x first, then key, then press 5. Then press equal to see the output. Now the 4 to the power of 3. So similarly you calculate any power using x power 5 key. Then 10 to the power of x. So press the x first, then 10 to the power of x. That is 2 and 10 to the power of x, which will be 10 square. Then 3 into 10 to the power of x, which will be 10 power 3. Similarly, you can calculate any number. Now we go to the e to the power of x. E already you know it, that is what is the value of e. Now x, so press the x first, that is 1, e to the power of 1, which will be 2.71, 8. Then e square, so press 2, then press e power x, you find e square. Similarly e power 3 and any other value you can calculate using e to the power of x. Then final different exp key is which calculates with two inputs, x and y. So first you enter x, then exp, then y. What it represents is, you can see the output first, then we'll see what is the reason. First I am entering 2, then exp, then I am going to enter let's say 3. So 2 into 10 to the power of 3, which will be calculated as 2000. So exp results 2 in that is x into 10 to the power of y. So x should be entered first, that is 3 I entered, exp, then I am going to enter, then I am going to enter power y, that is 2. So 3 into 10 to the power of 2 is calculated. So exp is equal to x into 10 to the power of y. So press x, then exp, then y, so which will calculate the required answer. So this is the way you calculate all powers and exponents. Then we are going to see root functions. What is the root function here? We have a square root and cube root and yth root of x. So out of these three, the first one is having only one input expecting, and the second one, cube root, is also expecting the one input. The third one, yth root of x, you need to enter two inputs. Let's see how to compute. Now to compute them, let's see how to do it. So now I am going to calculate first square root. So now in the square root, let's see, first 4, square root of 4 will definitely 2, you can see that, 4 and square root. Then similarly 9 square root, which will be 3. So you can calculate any square root value which will give you using the virtual calculator. Now after this, cube root of any value. So first press 9, then cube root. Then what is the value of cube root of 9? You can see 2.08. Now similarly 8 I pressed, and then cube root of 8, which will be 2. And similarly you can calculate for any other. Now yth root of x, you need to first enter the x, then enter the y. So first I will be calculating that, enter the value of x. So I am entered 8, then press yth root of x, then press 2. That means 2th root of 8, which will give you 2.828. So you can calculate similarly any other exponents and powers. Now we will see what are the modes we can use during this computations. So we have mainly we have degree and radians here. So most of the time we use degree, but when you have the angle related questions, you may require the radians. So now, so far what I have calculated is just using the degree, but you can also use them using some of them, like when we calculate trigonometric functions, you may use tan 5 or tan 5 by 2 or sin 5. So that in that case you require the radian properties. So you have two modes, degree and radian, and when you use any expression, do not try to mix these two in the same expression, because which will give you an error on the virtual calculator. So suppose you calculate 5 plus in 10, then 5 used as a degree and 10 used as a radian, which will be given as an error. So be careful. So use keep only one mode during entire expression. Now let's see, we have trigonometric and hyperbolic and so many inverse functions here, and we are going to see how to calculate them. Now let's see let's start with the trigonometric functions. So I am going to enter first 90 and then press sine. So sine 90 will be calculated. Then same 90 I have used for the cos. So cos 90 will be 0. The first enter the number, then function. So 90 tan, because tan 90 will be infinite, so which will give you a math error. So now I am going to use for another that is inverse. I am going to use now let's calculate 45. Tan 45 is 1, but I am going to calculate for the inverse now. Let me start with the 0 sine inverse. See, sine inverse of 0 is 0. So first press 1, sine inverse of 1 is 90, because sine 90 is 1, so sine inverse of 1 is 90. So similarly you can calculate inverse, all inverse functions here. First press a number, then press inverse, so that inverse of that function will be calculated. Now after calculating all these functions, then you go for hyperbolic functions. So hyperbolic is similar, first press a number, then press hyperbolic key, then you will be calculated. So sine h of 45 will be very big number, that you can say it. Then Similarly, you can do that for any number, sin h of 2 or any other, cos h of 2, and similarly you can also use for inverse hyperbolic functions. So this is easier to calculate, and you can calculate them for all the remaining. Now the last important thing is you need to know percentile, reciprocal, mod and modulus. Here many people are confused about a mod and modulus. So understand what is a mod and modulus, and also percentile. So percentile operator looks like a mod, but it's calculates different. Okay, so mod represent, it's like a division. 5 mod 2, nothing but you will get a remainder 1. So mod will calculate the remainder when you divide any number with any other. So x mod y, which will give you the remainder when you divide with a y, when you divide x with x by y. So now modulus represent absolute value of a given number. So if I give you minus 20, absolute value of minus 20 is 20, so which is going to give you a positive value always. So modulus operator will give you absolute value. So percentile is somewhat different. If I write x percentile y, which will be x into y by 100. So remember that x percentile y represent x into y by 100. So now I am going to perform these calculations using including reciprocal. Now let's calculate one by one. Now you can see the 4 different operators. I am going to do it. First I am going to calculate percentile. So now x percentile y is equal to x into y by 100. Now let's see, 7 percentile with 1. So 7 into 1 by 100. Sorry, 7 into 10. 7 percentile 10 is 7 into 10 by 100, which is 0.7. Next is I am going to calculate 7 percentile 2. So 7 into 2 by 100, you can do it, 7 percentile 2, which will give you 7 into 2 by 100, which is nothing but 0.14. Similarly, you can use any percentile. That's whatever I do it, 45 percentile you can use with 1. So 45 into 1 by 100, which is 0.45. So that's a percentile. And next we see reciprocal. So I think that you know it, 4 percentile 5 is 4 into 5 by 100. Now let me start with the reciprocal of a number. So what is the reciprocal of a number? So enter a number and then 3 into 1, that's 3 plus 1 by x, that means 1 by 3. So 1 by 3, then 1 by, you can calculate 1 by 0, infinite. Similarly you can do 1 by 1 is 1 and 1 by 2 is 0.5. So press any number and press 1 by x, which will compute a reciprocal of a number. Okay, that's easy to calculate. Then we go to the modulus. The modulus, I said, it's absolute value. So if you want to enter, let's say, minus negative number, so I am pressing some negative number before calculation. So let's start with the negative number. So let me calculate here. So I am trying to enter the negative number here. So parentheses I have given, and then I am taking just 2, then plus or minus will give you negative number. So minus 2 I have entered. So right now I have the minus 2. Actually parenthesis is not required here. So minus 2, I press the modulus, so which will give you 2. So absolute value of minus 2 will be 2. Similarly, I am entering some number. Let's start with that. Absolute value of minus 2 is 2. Then 25 entered. Then if I press absolute value of 25 is 25, and if I press 25, which is a minus, so absolute value of minus 25 is also 25. Similarly, you can try for any absolute value, which always generates a positive value. Now we can go for a mod. So what is a modulo? You can see that 7 mod operator, 7 modulo 7 modulo 3, the remainder is 1, because 3 can divide 7 2 times, then remainder will come 1. So you can apply 4 mod 2, which is 0, because 2 can divide 4, so remainder definitely 0. So now you can see how to apply this mod operator carefully. 6 mod 5 is 1. So I have applied all these 4 different operators using virtual calculator. Now the memory functions. And so far we are trying to see all different functions here, but only one thing we have not seen it, that's memory functions. So these memory functions might be important when you have a longer expression to calculate and sub expression you want to store. But in this you can store only one result in the computation. So here how to use that, the MC nothing but it's a memory clear, and whatever you have stored earlier which will be cleared, and MR to retrieve the value which was stored in the memory, and MS is to store the value into memory. Now M plus is to add a number into a memory which was already stored. So M plus will give you the stored number plus the new number that is there on the display, and M minus is nothing but stored number minus the new number on the display will be performed. Now let me talk about these expressions or calculations. Now let's begin with first a simple number, and all the memory operators are in the same row. The first MS should be used to store the value, then MR to retrieve. So I am just performing some calculation to understand. So 4 into 5 I am trying to divide with 1 by 5, which will give you 100. So this 100 now is calculated. Now I am storing. So MS I pressed. When I press MS, M you can see that means some value is stored. That 100 is going to be stored in the memory. Now you do any perform, that's press C, and you can see that if I press MR, you can see that 100 it can be retrieved back onto the display. Now this 100 you can perform with any calculations if you want. Now I am trying to do some calculations. So I am going to do 54 into, now I want to perform with 100, so multiply with 100. So MR when I press 100 will be taken. So 54 into 100 will be 5400. So now how to use this MC M plus M minus? I am going to use one by one. That 100 I have stored. Now I want to clear it. So I have just press MC, you can see that M is deleted here. So now I don't have anything in the memory. Now again I am going to enter some value into memory, 111, and when I press MS, then M will be shown here. That means it's 111 is stored now. Now I am performing some operations on it. Now I want to add something to this 111. Then let's see how to add it. So now I am pressing 1 0. So 10 I am going to add. So 10 and then press M plus, then 10 plus 111 will be added. So you can see that 121, when I retrieve the value 121 is displayed, and that is stored in the memory. Now I am going to do something minus from this memory. So 121 is current stored value. Now I am going to subtract 21 and do a minus, so the value will be 100 will be stored. So now we can see that MR, so 121 minus 21 will become 100. So M minus is to subtract, and MC is used to clear. So now it is clear the value. Now in this video we have seen almost all the calculations required using virtual calculator, and this scientific virtual calculator is having limited functionalities. So be careful when you practice with the scientific physical calculator during your practice. So most of them and many engineering students have the practice of physical calculator. So when you go to the GATE exam, you feel some uncomfortability which is during calculations. So try to practice carefully using virtual calculator. Now here there are simple observation. EXP is a very special key, and which expects two inputs which calculates x into 10 to the power of 5. So press x, then press EXP, then y, which will give you x into 10 to the power of 5. Then symbols x and y can be observed in the keys, because many of the keys here having 1x, some of the keys have x and y, some of the keys having no x and y. So when you don't have x and y, and it may expect one or two inputs, but you can see that sine, cos, tan, which don't have an x inside, but it expects only one input. But when you have EXP, even you don't have x and y, but it expects two inputs. So understand this no x and y. No x and y, most of them except ESP are unary functions. So they expect only one input. And all of them first enter the input, then enter the key to perform. So that is the way that you calculate these unary functions. and when you have only x, definitely which is expecting one input, so it is very easy to calculate. But when you have both x and y, first press x, then key, then last one is y. So this way you calculate using virtual calculator. I think this virtual calculator is very easy to perform the calculations. So please try to avoid all confusions for using the scientific virtual calculator. And let me conclude. So what I am trying to explain in this video is all the techniques, all the tips that really required for the virtual calculator. Even though these tips are easier, but most of them, they really not aware of using this calculator. So please understand, try to minimize usage of virtual calculator so that you can do calculations faster for the simple or easy calculations. But definitely virtual calculator has to be used when they are lengthy or complex calculations you have, but those functions are available on the virtual calculator. Then when it comes to the videos, and we are trying to plan many videos to help all the students who are preparing for GATE and other exams, and we are already having videos in how to prepare and how to score more than 70 marks and how to attempt the mock test, and there are so many videos are going to come. And if you have any doubts in your preparation, please stay connected on the Gradeup and ask your doubts and practice the questions, and we are trying to help in better way. And you have so many aspirants to discuss on the Gradeup. And thank you for watching this video, and hope this virtual calculator will be useful to calculate very important calculations when you practice for the GATE exam. Thank you so much.